let's set the table real quick. He has some God-given gifts that some of you are never going to get. All right, stand up, Joey, please. That's 6'5". Okay, some of you are never going to get that. All right, so you can't worry about that. That's 5'8" on a good day. All right, you're more likely to be closer to me than you are to him. All right, so use your body the way God intended it to be used. All right, don't try and do something abnormal, which is a great place to start. Let's talk about lessons learned along the way. Let's start with academics, right? Because this is more than just baseball in here.
Very true. So academics was something that really would have changed my career, would have helped me with more college recruitment, and would have allowed me to stay around the game longer. Out of high school, I was struggling with academics. I was really just focused on the baseball part. College, I was only there for a year and a half, and then I took 3 years off, and then thankfully I was able to jumpstart my career again. But focusing on grades is something that definitely would have changed my career.
So it goes to the mental approach and all the stuff that we teach in here about the mental approach. I'll hand it back to you again. Your mental approach when you step onto the diamond, when you step into the box.
When I step on the field, prior to my comeback, it was more just like a game, and I was gonna have fun with my guys. But after taking some time off, now I step on the field, and it's how are we gonna win this game? I'm gonna go to war with these 9 guys on the field, and I'm not gonna settle for losing at all. Mental approach when I get in the box is this pitcher has to put the ball in the plate, and he's not gonna beat me. A lot of guys have a tendency to be defeated before they even get in the box, and you got to understand you got to do your job in that box to help your team out. You cannot. Sometimes people show their, they see some velocity and they have a tendency to get afraid of the ball sometimes. But you cannot let that pitcher show that you're defeated before you step in that box. So that's really just my mental approach. Okay. On defense. I'm an outfielder, so the main thing I focus on is not letting the ball drop, and I've talked with the coaches. They allow me to have I feel like air traffic control sometimes outfield. I can move guys around. We work on shifts, and really we just call it a no-fly zone. Do whatever you can to not let that ball drop, even if it's fair or foul. Run through the wall, run through a fence, do what you have to not let that ball drop.
Okay. Next topic, base running. All right. I know I work an inordinate amount of my practices, the first 20 minutes of every practice, we work on base running, right? To you guys at this level yet, it probably doesn't make a lot of sense why, but Joey's going to talk about the aggressive nature of base running, turns, etc., and how important it is at the higher levels.
Right, so when we do evaluation before the seasons, in our spring trainings, so in the independent leagues, you're able to get looked at by any major league ball club or any higher major or independent league team. So back to the height thing, the eye test is something that helps me just because I stand out on the field, I'm a little bit taller. But another thing that coaches look for is if you get a hit, how aggressively you take your turn. Are you looking to get to second base on any ground ball that's hit to the outfield? Do you run out the fly balls that you know the guy's more than likely going to catch, but in the chance that he doesn't catch it, now you're standing on second base. That's something that sticks out for me. And it's not even second nature. I don't have to think about it. It's just I've been doing it since such a young age. My dad pushed it into me at a young age. It's just if you put the ball in play, hustle as hard as you can. Doesn't matter who's watching, even if it's a scrimmage, a coach pitch scrimmage, or you're in the actual game. Run out every single ground ball like it's the hardest thing you've done.
So you hear other folks talking about hard 90s. At the 11-year-old level, 12-year-old level, we focus on taking a hard turn with the chest on the ball so that you can make an aggressive move to second base. If it's just a bobble, right? If there's a slight bobble and you got any sense that you can make it, be aggressive and go. I teach that I'd rather have my kids make the out going that way than going that way.
Shows a lot of effort too. If you're willing to get that second base, it also shows your teammates that you're willing to do that for them. Because, I mean, like I said, you want to go to war with the 9 guys on the field with you. That's the most important thing. You have to play to win that game. And another thing about base running, it doesn't really matter your speed type. You can be the fastest guy, you can be the slowest guy. If you run the bases correctly, like you said, you focus on, out of the box, if you know it's a sure double, making that banana route and just having clean routes to the bases, that'll get you that extra base too. Some guys may be a little bit uncoordinated, maybe staggering around the bases. That could be the difference between safe and out. So just keeping a clean route to the bases is a big thing about base running.
Cool. Any questions so far from you guys? So I got a question for you guys. What's the most important thing to get recruited? Where'd that come from? Okay. What are you guys, deaf mutes? You're the closest to graduating. Go ahead.
Body language.
Body language and academics, right? Hustling everywhere. Because you never know who's watching when. It doesn't necessarily have to be a coach that's recruiting you, right? They have networks, right? And you may not fit in their program, but they know that the school 20 miles down the road has a fit for somebody like you. And if you treat this guy that's recruiting you right, or you want to go to his school, and he doesn't have a fit, he'll pick up the phone and call for you if you treat him right, right? You guys are getting ready to get into this, right? With the whole field level and everything that we're going to do starting for you guys, and you start reaching out to college coaches, right? You've got to treat them like you want to be treated. Good? So academics first. We're square, right?
Yes.
3.5 and above gets you recruited. Below 3.5, it starts getting a little shaky. I know you're all smart kids. You come from supposedly the best educational system in the U.S., so pay attention and do what you got to do. Let's talk about hitting for a second. Everybody's favorite part of the game, right? And the thing that everybody wants to work with. What did you learn? So let's talk about this. This is the conversation you and I were having the other day.
So the main thing I learned, and it's not so much learning, it's just reiterating stuff that my dad told me. So I've hit plenty of home runs in batting practice, but I've never hit one in a game. And it's for the approach that my dad put into me. It's home runs are good, it puts a run on the board, but getting on base puts a lot more pressure on the defense, and it can create a lot more havoc on the base paths. Everyone that has played baseball, and I'm sure you said something like this, is hitting is contagious. You get a guy on first base, ground ball to the outfield, moves him over to third, now there's a guy on first and third, and it just keeps that rotation going. The main thing I learned from being up in New York and Florida is teams at the higher level, they love low backspin line drives. In my batting practice, I was getting watched by the San Diego Padres. They loved me in the outfield. They loved the way I moved on and off the field. And then they saw my BP, and I have a little bit of an uppercut. They crossed me off the list right there for that. And then that's why they want to see me pitch. They don't want to put the time in to see me develop my swing, because I'm 23 years old. I'm young for this industry, but at the same time, I'm 23 years old, and they want to see me already polished. They want me to already know this stuff. And the academics thing, which took me out of college, that 4 years of about 400 or 500 at-bats really could have changed the path of my recruitment. I guess with some of these higher teams. If I had more at-bats, more time with hitting coaches, really could have, I'd probably be in a different position than I am right now. But thankfully, I'm working back to it. And I'm going to prove to them that I know how to hit and hopefully be a position player, not so much a pitcher.
So let's talk about what Joey just said, right? Bombs are nice, right? That's 6'5", and the bombs all came in BP. They didn't really come in games. So they're teaching him, or they're reiterating to him a lot of the thought process and philosophies that we teach here, right? Gaps, balls in gaps, line drives in gaps, right? Again, 5'8" versus 6'5", right? I hit 6 in college. All mistakes. I was trying to hit a ball in a gap, and it just happened to clear. 6'5", 5'8". I was taught to be a gap hitter. You want to be on base. You want to create havoc, right? First and third is hard to defend, isn't it? Right? You got to do all kinds of funny things on our fields to defend first and third. The guy behind you knows, the guy in the box knows, hey, I got an RBI. All I got to do is put a ball in the gap. Guess what? He starts first and third all over again. Hitting is contagious, as Joey said. Right?
Another thing, if you have a guy on first base, it puts more pressure on the pitcher that he can't risk maybe throwing a curveball in the dirt that could get past, because now that guy's going to keep moving forward. Or maybe he knows you're a base stealer and he's going to have to slide step. It's going to take a couple miles an hour off his velocity, which is going to put more, I guess, a better zone for the hitter to, the pitcher's going to have to put something over the plate, something he can handle, and maybe do more damage. So getting on base, home runs are very cool, and to the fans and the spectators, they like seeing it, seeing how far you can hit the ball, but as a baseball player, getting on base is the most important thing about hitting.
So he said a couple of things in there that I want to dissect a little bit more, right? The little things in the ball game are what matter. I know Coach Noah says it, Coach Tyler says it. All the coaches in here are saying it, right? The little things that change the complexion of ball games. One-run ball games. How many one-run ball games do we lose? Or how many big innings for the other team start because they did the little things? How many big innings for us start because of the little things? If I've got, at your age, right, if I got a pitcher that's throwing mid-70s, maybe touching 80, but I get him with runners on base, he's not throwing mid-70s or 80 anymore, right? He's dropping to low 70s. Does that become more hittable for you from a fastball perspective? Is he less likely to throw a breaking pitch?
Yeah.
Right? So you get the chance to sit dead red, and you keep the merry-go-round going for us. Right? Getting runners on base is critically important. Walk, hit by pitch, base hit, that starts the wagon. You got what he was saying there, right? Right? Those are the little things that you got. You guys all just want to step in the box and bang. I applaud you for that. But think the game through a little bit more. It's the baseball IQ piece.
And there's nothing wrong with getting in the box and having that mentality. The end goal of hitting, you want to do damage to that ball. It's more efficient to have a backspin line drive than just to hit a cannon on that. Maybe you got a lot of barrel, but the launch angle is going to make it, a dead fly ball to center field. So the backspin line drive approach, but still doing damage and wanting to hit that ball very hard is very important.
Any questions from you guys so far? Come on, you gotta have some. Go ahead, Jess.
Yeah. For like you said, they look for more like exit velo than like launch angle.
So they don't really look so much for exit velo and launch angle. It definitely helps on paper, and it shows like what your potential is, how hard you can hit the ball. But one thing they tell me, my bad tendency is I tend to swing with my shoulders because I want to hit the ball so hard. They tell me to really turn it down to maybe 60-70% swing, more lower half, and just keep it efficient. They don't want you swinging as hard as you can. The exit velo definitely looks good, but it's not so much about that. It's more just low backspin line drives.
Okay.
So when you guys are playing, I'll add to that, when you guys are playing with hit tracks, watch where the ball goes. All right, exit velo is good. All right, that means it's coming off the bat high. All right, but look at where your balls are going. I know when I'm working with my little guys, all we focus on is right center to left center, and a whole bunch of blue dots. Make sense? So when you guys are in here working on your own, you all use that machine. I see you guys in here using it all the time. Focus on where the ball's going and the distance of where the ball is going, right? Because if you look at the distance, that'll tell you, back to the earlier base running conversation, right? You should know if I can hit a ball 150 feet, 170 feet in a gap, do you think you can get to second base? That's 180 feet, right? So do you have the wheels to get there? If it's clean versus if it's a bobble, right? Again, we're back to the little things and the little measurements in, in this game that mean a lot to get the wagon rolling. Make sense?
Sir.
Okay. Let's talk about outfield for a second. All right. How many outfielders in the group? Okay. He's an outfielder, so he has outfield specialties. We'll bring in an infielder and we'll talk about infield specialties.
Shortstop.
I know he was a shortstop in high school because he's got a cannon for an arm. Let's talk about that for a second. The segue for a second. 95?
From short.
Yeah. What was your?
So in high school, I think I hit 95 from short. From outfield, I recently hit 103. On the mound, I got up to 99.
Again, God-given talent too. Let's be honest about some of this, right? I know he works really hard, right? Because he's one of the few that has the key to the building and can come in anytime he wants. Right? The rest of you knuckleheads, you got to come in when we're here. All right? But there's, 6'5", he's got a little bit more leverage, but he's learning things there as well from a pitcher, right? Because when you got that kind of velo, they want him on the mound now because he can throw so hard. Right? It's all about speed from the bump. But go back to the earlier conversation. Runners on base, is he still throwing 99? Probably going to drop down to 95. Right? Does that fastball now become hittable? Can he? And I'm not just talking about Joey. I'm talking about any pitcher. Right? Can he still throw the slider or the curve where he wants to in a particular count? Is he afraid to? Right? The little things. Pay attention to the details. Now back to my original question with respect to outfield. Angles, throws, reads.
Yeah, so what I learned, and this kind of relates to your exit velo thing. Outfield, there's a lot of things they test is like the 60-yard dash, which really shows like how clean your running form can be. But the whole speed thing doesn't play so much of a factor. It definitely helps, but if you take correct routes and you can track fly balls very well, you'll definitely find a place in the outfield. Like I know some guys that, they have good 60 times, but they take some funky routes to some fly balls, and that, that's not so good in outfield because we're the last. I guess we're the last hope. If a ball gets past the infield, we have to keep it in front of us. So taking the correct routes is definitely important. If it's a roller in the outfield, you have to get around it and make a good throw. That's very important too. Making that, banana route so you can get behind the ball and get some momentum behind your legs to make a good, strong throw to the base. One thing I focus on in the outfield, and this definitely helps with my leverage, is I keep the ball at my cutoff's head. I don't throw it anywhere above them. There's no reason for me to. The quickest way to get to something is, the lowest, a straight line. I also have to give him a chance to make a play if he needs to. Maybe I'm not going to get the guy going to third, but the cutoff can maybe backpick it and get the guy at second or first. Maybe it took an aggressive turn, which is good for a base runner. But me hitting the cutoff gives us a chance to make a better play.
Okay.
Yeah, the main focus, I think, I would say, is really just keeping it low and hitting the cutoff.
Throws.
Yeah.
Right? So I know we do the hat drill all the time when we're working outfield academy. Right? Do you want to throw it on a line all the way to the bag that has a loop, or do you want that long hop?
So definitely the long hop. And it's not really something that I didn't really need to practice this so much. It's just if I aim for his head, it either gives him a chance or it's going to long hop to the bag. Sometimes you're going to get, you're going to short hop your, the bag that you're throwing to, and it happens. But definitely giving the guy a chance at the bag to make the play is the most important thing in the outfield.
Cool. Any questions? From the parents as well. Anything?
I got one. Talk about
when you were at Wise the first year, you had to work through some stuff, obviously,
Right.
to get to the other side of where you were going to stay committed. You wanted to get back in the game. You'd obviously probably weren't feeling too great. How do you work through those hard times when you've had like a bad game or you were having bad tryouts with teams or, you know, just weren't feeling what you wanted to be feeling about the game?
So, so I played the first 22 games at Wise, and then unfortunately my coach is telling me how poorly my grades are. But he still allowed me to travel with the team and just be around them. So I would say just being around the guys and being able to travel, seeing the support that they have and just being with the team definitely kept me wanting to be around the game. And then in my 2 or 3 years off, that's when I really focused on strength and weight training, which definitely helped my career. And then thankfully I was able to meet up with Noah and he got me in here. We had a throwing program. I would go to his house or we'd do lawn toss 2 or 3 days a week. And I guess just watching baseball and just, I guess, missing it a lot. Knowing I could have done a lot more and putting in the outside work is definitely what brought my career back.
You're going to have bad days. You're going to have bad weeks. You're going to have bad months. Right? Don't quit.
One thing that I think about is what really defines a baseball player is the type of person they are between the 9th and the 1st inning of the next game. Are they going to be a good person off the field, or are they going to know what they did wrong and put in work to maybe not make that mistake again? So I'd say just focusing on what you do off the field, and again, being able to go to war with your 9 guys on the field is very, very important.
Did you learn something? Joey, thanks.
You got a question?
How do you feel about the lockout?
Leave it to Aiden.
Come on, Joey. Just sign the contract already.
So at this very moment, it doesn't really affect me, just because I know I'll be going up to York and I'll be able to work my way into a major league contract. But in a sense, it will definitely help me for when that time comes. I guess with the whole money thing, the free agency and arbitration thing. So the MLB PA is definitely putting in a good word for upcoming baseball players. So I'm excited to see what comes out of it.
Or like, since there's like a lockout, are you like, is there any teams looking at you, or are you just like?
So the scout that was looking at me was with San Diego, and he signed a bigger contract to play with the Milwaukee Brewers. So right now I'm getting looked at by both of those 2 teams. And again, it doesn't really affect me with signing. He's actually coming up to this facility in the middle of March to see me throw and hit again. So if he comes with a contract that day, I can still sign. I'll sign that day. I'll definitely sign. But the lockout doesn't affect me from signing.
And as we, hold on a second, Liam. As we know more about when that is in March, the film crew will be here, all right? And you guys can get a chance to see what it takes at that level, all right? While Joey will be over here. Who's catching you, by the way?
We talked a little bit.
Camera guy.
You're gonna catch him?
Yeah.
You sure?
I caught him in high school.
Yeah, but that's 95 plus,
Is that
bro.
99 in high
That's what I did. That's what I did at Southern.
Okay. All right, we'll put Dom on the camera. So when that day comes, right, as we always do, we take pictures of coaches, because we've had college coaches in the building before. We look at the Facebook page, there's tons of them up there, all right? Anybody, there's somebody of note, like Joey in the building or in the organizations, we'll put a message out so that everybody can come watch what it takes and what actually they're looking at. And when we find out what that date is, I may reach out to the scout and say, hey, can you spend a half hour with my kids if this is what's going on as well? Okay. You got a question?
Did you ever play basketball?
I did. Basketball is actually still my favorite sport. I love playing basketball so much, and I wish I would have continued my career, but I quit before I hit my big growth spurt. So I quit around 8th grade, unfortunately. But this goes back to your question. In my time off, I would go up to LA Fitness and I was playing basketball runs every single night. So that really helped keep me in shape and I guess get me to be in condition that I am the way I am now.
Can you dunk?
So let's go back to that.
Daniel's a little dry.
Let's go back to that, right? So basketball is your first love. Do you have another question? I'm sorry.
I was going to ask, do you play basketball?
No.
Do you play basketball?
Sometimes.
So like, one thing that's very important is just as an athlete, just being competitive all year round. You know, you play baseball, fall, spring, summer, maybe going basketball in the winter, if your ankles are able to support it. A lot of guys get injured doing that kind of stuff, but just being around any type of gaming and being competitive is very important as an athlete.
And we preach that, right? I don't want you guys being baseball players 12 months out of the year. Go play soccer. Right? If you're a middle infielder, soccer's good for your footwork, right? Because your feet have always got to be moving, right? You're an outfielder, running hoops, right? Create stamina. Catchers might want to wrestle. Play another sport. Don't just lock into one.
Just be an athlete, all in all.
Yeah. Compete. Cool.
Can you talk how the weight room really helped you revamp the career?
Yeah, so actually I saw a glimpse of this in my junior year. Thankfully our coach at Tuscarora, Coach Bauer, got us going into Performance Edge in Ashburn. The off-the-field strength and conditioning really is what paved my career in a sense. My junior year is where it really took off. Senior year, our weight room, you know, we kind of moved around a little bit, but at college, they didn't take it a whole lot serious. We had a good strength and conditioning program. Some guys took it serious. I just didn't find the love for it. And then in my time off, it really took me putting my own time and effort into it. And I definitely see it translate onto the field. I talked about the exit velo thing. They want me swinging at like 70, 75%. The stronger I am, the harder that ball's going to come off and the less hard I have to swing. Just keeping it efficiently hard swing. Also, I see a big translation into the bat. I guess my defense, the speed part of it, just helping me clean up my running form, strengthening my legs, maybe creating more stamina. And one thing that I picked up personally, and the coaches picked up on it as well, when a scout's looking at you and you're playing 26 games in 30 days maybe, they can see if your body's going to break down soon. And that's one thing they look for. And is your body going to be able to last 9 months out of the season playing 160, 170 games? Some guys break down 2 or 3 weeks in. Thankfully, I was conditioned enough to just keep on moving forward.
What kind of stuff do you do in the weight room? Do you like bodybuilding, Olympic lifting? Like what is it?
Started with some bodybuilding, but it's more just functional explosiveness power. I know when Feemster was in here, he focused on a lot of that stuff, and that's the stuff that I do in my own time.
Stuff that you focus on and Preston focuses on. So he's got the 11-year-olds going through a program, and I know I sent it to all of you guys as well. But there's a whole program that happens over in that corner on Friday nights that he just accredited, if you will, in many respects.
And I've played with Noah for many years. The stuff that he tells you guys, I definitely vouch for it. Definitely listen to the stuff that he's saying. Completely agree with it. I back everything he says. The same with Murphy. I've never played for you, but like just talking with you and being around you, I definitely vouch for everything that he's telling you. So definitely listen to the coaches you guys have here.
I love you, man. Welcome to the party, boys. Any other questions? You good?
What's up?
So you said that you had a bit of an uppercut. Is that because you dropped your shoulder?
So I don't exactly know what leads to my uppercut. It's just more translating my swing from my hips. The uppercut tends to happen naturally, And you see at my age, or even guys in the major leagues, a big example they say is Cody Bellinger, Corey Seager, some of these big name guys. You swing the same way you are at this highest level as you did when you were maybe 5 or 6 years old. So this bad habit of mine, I was swinging when I was very young. I wasn't able to get into a facility like this, and at a young age, these guys are fine-tuning your swings, which is really going to help you in the long run. I definitely wish I had something like this. Definitely would have changed my hitting part of my career. Yeah, the uppercut's really just translating more of my swing from my shoulders down to my lower half. And I'm sure they preach, getting into your legs and using your hips into your swing.
Cool. Thank you.
No problem.
I appreciate you getting up on Sunday morning to come and spend the time with us. All right, you'll be around the building. Don't be a stranger, ask him questions. You don't have to be shy. All right, watch him hit sometime.
Honestly, I'm shy being around you guys. I come after hours because I get shy, I guess, having some people watch me hit. But if I ever am up here, again, just come up, introduce yourself to me, and I guess get to know me. I'll talk baseball with you guys anytime.
Thanks, fellas. Thanks, parents. Thanks.
Thank you, Joey.